right. We only got a couple more days.
How much we got left?
You don't want to know.
We got a little or do we got a lot?
Told you you don't want to know.
I don't want to know a little or I don't want to know a lot. I don't want to know $1,000 left or I don't want to know $50,000 left.
Well, you know, that angel money was supposed to last us about 6-8 months to get going. Seems our budget was a little bit off.
How much do we have left? Gotta call my landlord.
Call him.
My rent's due. It was due 4 days ago. We're out here, there's no phones out here. How the hell am I gonna call anybody?
Call.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
It'll work. Now, just gotta get some of this tech stuff down, and we are in now. Of course.
Did you call the bank?
Well, I tried updating them, but I was calling Bob Cox over at Robertson Stevens, and he was a little disappointed.
What do you mean disappointed?
Well, we're running through the Angels' money.
How much we got left?
Not a hell of a lot.
Not a hell of a lot. 1,000? Not a hell of a lot. 50,000.
About 2,500.
That'll last us about less than a week.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was thinking we can push off some of those upgrades. We can also push off the web host.
We gotta find Hefe. We have to find Hefe. Otherwise, we're not gonna have anything to sell. At all. They're not gonna care what we have. At all.
All we gotta do is find Hefe, and our problems are solved.
All right, man. If that's what you say. I'll take your word for it. I'll give it another shot. All right.
If we find Hefe, everything lines up. All the ducks are in the row. I'm telling you. You know, those guys from Robertson Stevens, they said, you know, listen, all we got to do is make one big hit, and they're going to be able to sell us all the way down. The investors are going to be lining up. I'm telling you, this is going to be the growth market. Why would he come out to the desert? Why are we here?
I went home for Christmas this year for the first time in a long time, and it was the first Christmas since my grandmother died, and my grandfather was there by himself, and it was kind of interesting being with him there with my mother, my father, and my sister, and my grandfather for the first time without his wife. It was interesting. He started being very introspective and telling stories about his younger days, his glory days in the Air Force, in the early days of the Air Force. He told this really, really hilarious story about doing his first in-cockpit, in-flight training. This was in the days of open cockpit airplanes. He says he gets in the plane with his instructor, and the instructor told him to buckle up because they were going to go up to a certain altitude and just take it easy for a while. So he did. He buckled in, they took off. First time my grandfather's ever been in an airplane. He'd done lots of ground training, but he'd never actually flown one before. So he gets up in the plane, and they're taking it for a little spin. And the cockpit instructor yells forward one more time, "Hey, make sure you got your seatbelt on." And my grandfather, of course, you know, being first time in the airplane, checks his seatbelt, makes sure it's securely fastened, and he listens for his next instruction. And the flight instructor said, "You know what? Why don't you give me a slow roll?" And my grandfather says, "Are you sure?" And the instructor said, yeah. You're buckled in, aren't you? My grandfather says, yes, I am. So my grandfather pushes on the stick, slowly rolls over the plane, completes a roll, and he looks back in the back cockpit of the plane, and his flight instructor's gone. And my grandfather can't figure out what happened, and then he looks down, and it looked like the flight instructor had fallen out of the plane because the flight instructor himself had forgotten to buckle his belt. So my grandfather circled around again, not like he could save the guy or anything, but made sure that he had a parachute on, and the parachute unfurled, so the guy was coming in safely. And my grandfather was all happy about that, and then he says he realizes he's never really landed a plane before. This is the first time, and so he said he tried to remember all his flight training from ground school, and he brought the plane in pretty steady and pretty low, and he got a standing ovation from all the people that were waiting on the ground, which is pretty interesting. And then after he'd landed and walked up, the flight instructor still hadn't come back, and they're all sitting around waiting for the flight instructor to come back, and they finally see him walking off in the distance, walking, dragging his parachute behind him. There was this barbed wire fence surrounding the airfield, I guess to keep the cows out because they were in Texas. And the flight instructor pulls his parachute over the barbed wire fence, just walks right on past everybody right there without saying a word. My grandfather was trying very much to be accommodating and trying not to embarrass the guy, but everybody else was guffawing and pointing and laughing because the instructor was one of these kinds of guys that was really intense, really military-like. And apparently he just got in the car and drove off because he was a little embarrassed that he himself forgot to buckle the belt and fell out of an airplane. I guess that's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, I had $10 on number 3.
There you go.
Hey, do you know the guy that did these?
Sure.
Yes, it's a guy about 5'11", long white beard, 57 years old.
A guy?
Whitish beard.
A guy that Hefe's a woman.
Hefe's a woman?
Mm-hmm. Can I help you, sir?
Yeah, I was wondering if you could tell me how those pumps work out there.
Oh, did you flip it forward?
Down,
Yes.
not up.
Yes.
Down.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thanks.
All righty.
Are you sure Hefe's a woman?
It's a woman.
Gray beard?
No, this is a woman.
Hefe is a woman.
I say Hefe's a woman. I don't know about that. How well did you say you know this person?
I've known her for years.
Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good day.
We'll be back.
Hefe. Why are these guys looking for you? What's that all about? Well, you're covered. You're covered. As far as they're concerned, you don't even live close by. No, nowhere around. I said Pahrump or South. So you're covered. I think so. I think so.
Most people think I'm a cowboy. I let them believe that. I grew up around cowboys and Indians a lot of my life. I was actually born in LA. I don't tell people that, but I just happened to be there when my parents had me. But I grew up on an Indian reservation in eastern Oregon. It's kind of strange. My dad got out of the Navy in LA, and he liked being a city boy. He and my mom danced to big band music in the 30s. But my mom wanted to go back to where she'd grown up and farm. And so my first few years of school, I'd spend part of the year in LA in a big city grade school, and then I'd be back in this one-room schoolhouse with no running water or electricity. I was the only white kid. The rest were all Indians. And when we'd play cowboys and Indians, I'd always have to be the cowboy. I was like, come on, let me be the Indian once. No, you're a white guy. You gotta be a cowboy. So that was cool. It was cool. It was cool until at some point, I guess in junior high school, we moved into the city, and people are real prejudiced. They don't like Indians. White people don't like Indians. They don't like anybody that's not from the state. They don't. If you're not from there, you're shit. So I guess if you're from there, you are shit or something. I don't know. So it got really rough for me then during those years. 13 and 14 years old. When we moved to town, my folks said, you ain't gonna have none of them Indian kids over. They're my friends. That's who I'd grown up with. And so that was kind of weird. I mean, how you gonna explain that to your friends? And then being they were my friends, I had to get in fights with all these white guys in school. It was a really bummer. I think the only thing that saved me was rock and roll music. Rock and roll music came in, and I thought, I'm gonna be one of them. So I kept my sanity by learning to play guitar, playing rock and roll music, having a band, getting to travel around in our cars, and play for all the girls all around. It was neat. Yeah, the Indian situation there is weird. They put 3 tribes that didn't get along in the first place on the same reservation. And they gave them deeded land and tribal land. So right away, this is years ago, 100 years ago or something, the white people traded whiskey for the good land, for their deeded land. So the reservation is like half white and half Indian. And the Indians have a really hard time. They're controlled by the BIA. And most of my friends who went on to college and became educated and went to work for tribal government and stuff, the ones that are still alive, that haven't drank themselves to death, or are sick from ulcers, they're having a hell of a bad time there. It's unfortunate. So I got out of there as soon as I got out of high school. I almost flunked high school and then went to a 4-point average in college. It was just, I did better away from there. And so here I am today, traveling around playing music.
Swear to God, every fucking time. I go in there, go do this, go do that, go look here, go look there. Look under the mattress, look under the bedspread. Both of the places where he told me to look, and I didn't see a goddamn thing. Fuck. Fucking pisses me off. Sending me out there, oh well. He's paying me well. Can't complain about that. Ugh. At least I found a couple beers. And see what he wants me to do. It's up there. Ed, turn you into hamburger meat. D, here you go. Any sign of him?
Nope, not at all.
Nothing.
I didn't
at
get
all.
any of that on your shirt. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Search the hotel, no sign of the package. He will be here. It will be here. Let me give you some historical data that's come into us.
Okay.
We know that Jefe was born into a farming town. His family was farmers. His ancestors were farmers.
Okay.
He was one of 9 children. He was the 8th one there. 8th of 9.
9th, okay. 8 of 9, got it.
His family were successful farmers in Pennsylvania. They grew mostly corn, wheat, soy, whatever they could do. Along comes famine. They lose the property. The whole crop was wiped out. No rain, nothing.
No horses.
Forget about the horses. He had to do something. All he knew was how to farm. He didn't have much of an education. A little high school, that's about it. That doesn't mean he's not a smart man, though. He decided to set out on his own. All he wanted to do was move west. So he moved west, taking odd jobs, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. Eventually, he made it to Kansas. Settled down outside the Missouri River, right on the Kansas-Missouri border. Started up a farm there. He got the farm cheap, super cheap. Everyone said he was stupid to buy it. This farm would flood every 3 years. It's right on the riverbank. The Missouri River would come, wipe it out. But he thought he could do it. He thought he could make it work, and you know what? He made it work. You know why? Because that property didn't flood. Didn't flood for 7 years.
Wow.
And in that time, he was a smart man because he used the money he was making from the farming to buy other farms outside the floodplain. He knew it was about farming in floodplains. Outside of that, he took all of his money from his other properties, and he was successful. Very successful, as a matter of fact. He became the richest man in town. Sure, it wasn't a big town, but he was happy with what he was doing. He was so happy, he decided to get out of the farming business. Didn't make sense to anyone. All he knew was farming. That's all he knew. But he took up the most menial job he could find. He would sell corncob pipes to the street.
Corncob pipes.
I know, not too many people bought corncob pipes. People don't buy them today. They didn't buy them then either. But that's what he did. Every day, he got a horse-drawn carriage. Memo, carriage, horse-drawn.
Why would he sell corncob pipes?
It was the craziest thing he could do. Nobody really knows. This is the kind of guy we're dealing with. But every day, he would take his horse-drawn carriage, go to the cob, buy cobs every day. Every single day, he would take those corncob pipes and travel around the city, trying to sell them to anybody he could find. Anybody. He barely sold any. A few parties here and there. Nobody really cared about him. One day, he just didn't show up.
So that's why we're here.
Well, we're here because we were told he's coming here. And he's going to be here.
Okay.
If they said he's coming here, he's coming here. And now you need to go back inside that hotel and look thoroughly. I don't think you looked enough.
Yes.
This guy is crazy.
All right, I will go.
They said he's going to be here. He is going to be here.
All right.
Go.
You say so. Fucker. Give me pants.
Well, I grew up in South Texas, and looking back, it was a very, very weird place because it was so split down the middle. I mean, literally with a railroad track between where the Mexican people lived and where the Anglos lived. And it didn't seem weird then. it was like normal, but I never felt like I fit in. And one thing that really bothered me was that none of the Hispanic people could speak their language in school, or they could get expelled, and things have changed a lot since then. But my childhood was also strange. I remember, well, actually, I think about the sounds, early morning sounds of cars starting and people going to work. And it's a real pleasant sound to me. It's a real comforting sound. And I never could understand why. I even like it in the city when I can hear the big trucks coming through and the early morning. And I finally realized what it was, and it was that when I was a little girl, I used to wake up on a regular basis to the sound of my dad starting his truck and leaving to go out to the farm, because we lived in town, but the farm was out 30 miles, I guess. So he would leave and go to work. And the funny thing about that is that it was comforting that he was leaving and going to work, and he'd be gone until dark. So it'd just be my sisters and brothers and I and my mom. And what we called then the maid, which was Lena first, and then it was Ophelia was her name. And everybody called her Fela. And that's kind of disturbing to me to look back and to realize that I was comforted by the fact that he was leaving. So I remember him as being a very demanding person, very easily excitable and very critical. And my mom would always try to cover things up. Like, I remember one time she burned the beans, because we had beans and rice, and we ate like Mexicans a lot, which was, good. And she burned the beans, and she took the bean pot and she put it under the sink, as if you couldn't smell it all over, because I don't know if you've ever burned beans, but it's quite a smell. And he came in and he what's that smell? And he was all mad because she burned the beans. I mean, what's that all about? So that's a kind of sort of tension, constant tension that I grew up with. So that's the way it really was. How would it have been perfect? I don't know. I know, can you really feel bad about how things were when you kind of like where you are? Because you don't know what might have been different and what might have put you somewhere else.
All right, here's the Amargosa.
Amargosa. Yep, this is it. Watch out for that car.
We're cool. We'll let him come by.
The Amargosa Hotel.
All right, we gotta ask this guy.
Nice hat.
Hey!
Did you come over here for a second? We asked you a couple questions.
Sure.
How long you been here?
Forever.
How long you been here today?
Today? Since the day I started?
You ever seen a guy around here, about 50, 57, long white beard?
Weird gray hair,
No.
about 5'8", 5'9".
Nope.
160 pounds.
Nope.
What's your name?
Jules.
Jules. All right, write that down. Take a note.
Jules, Amargosa Hotel. What you do here, Jules?
Sweep.
Okay.
Janitor, you clean up things?
No, sir, I'm not a janitor.
Sure you haven't seen this Hefe guy? Not heavy, but Hefe. That's his name.
The boss?
What do you mean, the boss?
The boss.
Your boss is named Jefe?
No. Jefe means the boss. Spanish. Don't you city boys learn Spanish?
Have you seen Jefe, the guy with the long white beard? Yes,
Nope.
kind of like your beard, but longer.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who the heck are you?
Well, glad you asked. We're professional bounty hunters. Starting a website, bountyhunter.com.
Bountyhunter.com. I'm Special Agent D.
Woo!
This is my card, Special Agent Freeze.
Fancy.
Oh, yeah.
Freezing.
If you see him, the guy with the long white beard, Hefe, give us a call.
You gonna remember your friends?
Absolutely.
All
We,
right.
we got stock options to give out, man.
Stock options.
Hefe's going to be our first takedown. He's going to be the one that puts us over the edge.
What'd he do?
Doesn't matter.
This feather reminds me of growing up for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's just something about the family unit. Purple was always my favorite color, but for my father, it was real important that we eat family meals. And I didn't realize that other families didn't do that until I went there. And so I'm watching TV and eating country crock and things like that. My family, I was 4 years old eating veal chops and lobster and scallops. The meals were so good that around 8, I decided I wanted to go eat frozen food at other people's houses. And a neighbor came down and my father asked her what her favorite thing to eat was, and she said Morton's chicken pot pie, and he almost threw up. Almost went up the street and talked to the parents. But we'd sit at the meal, it was me and my older brother and my mom and my dad would talk kind of like Homer Simpson, and not stupid, but slow, and ooh, tell stories, ooh. And my brother would talk back about 1,000 miles a minute. My mom would just laugh and drift off, and I'd sit there quiet because I couldn't get a word in anyway. So my older brother said I didn't talk till I was about 5. I'd sit there, I'd draw pictures and write stories and do little plays, but I didn't talk much directly. And my brother would rock back in his chair, and almost every night, "Stop rocking the chair, you're gonna fall over." And he'd say, "No, I won't," and then he'd fall over. And I liked the food, but it was a little too much for me, and I didn't like the fat. So I chewed up and feed it to the dog. His name was Friendly. He barked at 2 people. I got a scar right here from the dog that bit me at Thanksgiving when I was 5. And it was a blizzard. I couldn't go to the hospital. And he barked at that dog every time, and he barked at the poor gas man when he'd come in. And everyone else he'd lick to death. But he looked big, and then he'd come in and he'd lick you. And I'd feed him the fat or I'd flush it down the toilet. And then I remember the first time I had lobster at a restaurant, and they told me it tasted just like chicken. I ate it, and I said, "It tastes just like chicken." Or they said it was chicken, and then they told me it was lobster, and I got upset for a minute. 5-year-old being fed lobster and getting upset about it. And then a little bit later, you start to appreciate lobster. And didn't appreciate my family too much for a while. You take it all for granted. You think everybody gets 4-course meals and family meals every night. And then you go over and you find your friends cussing at their moms at age 8, telling them to shut the fuck up and eating fast food. And you start to figure out something. Howdy. Yeah, feeling good? Me too. I love when the storms come. I was just up at the radio tower. You been up there? No, you haven't, have you? Yeah. I got a good signal this afternoon. Yep. They didn't have too much to say, though. Back on the home planet. Yeah. Some people around there think I'm real weird, but, you talk right to me. Appreciate that. Mom really changed a lot when Dad died. Yeah. She was always intense like that, threatening to shoot at people. But when he died, her mood just changed. She never talked about depression or anything. And I'm the only one that they say has any kind of clinical depression. I don't believe it. But Mom, she started saying life's the pits. and she'd just sigh a lot. And, you know, watch TV, soap operas all the time. You don't watch that stuff. Yeah, but she, yeah, I thought she was really gonna lose it for a while, but she started coming around, and then once she stopped yelling at me, and I was worried, real worried. And then she, one day, she just woke up screaming at me, and I gave her a hug, and she didn't know what to do. Because I was just so happy she was back, you know? Don't talk to your mom much, huh? No. Yeah, I guess everyone has to die sometime. But I think Mom will live a while. I should fight her. I don't know if I'll live that long. No, that's okay, because I get to go back to the home planet. Some jerky? Pretty good. Oh, the ostrich. Fresh range ostrich, that's protein.
Boy.
Oh, man.
What?
How long has it been since you talked to your wife?
I don't know, 4 or 5 days.
It's been about a month for me.
A month?
Yeah. I know. She's probably getting pissed off at me.
I don't know, you still have a wife.
I hope I do.
I don't know. Let's go.
All right, let's get him. Let's go.
How do we get out
I
of
think
here?
we go this way. Oh, wait a minute. There's nothing over here but a big hill of dirt.
That's all
We
I
got to
see.
get out of here. This is the
Oh,
wrong way.
jeez.
We got to go.
How the hell did we get into this?
Fuck, man, I can't even type when you do that shit.
Oh, just relax.
Oh.
Must have been about 5 a.m. when I got that phone call the day that my dad died. It was my sister calling. He hadn't died yet. My sister, phone rang at 5 o'clock, woke us up out of bed. Didn't understand, just kind of shocked. Get on the phone with my sister. She says, Dad's had a heart attack. Mom wants you to come home right away. So of course I was up and getting ready, calling airlines, trying to find that flight to get back there. But as soon as I got that phone call from her, I knew that this was it. That he was going to die. So when I finally got on that airplane, he hadn't died, but I knew that he had. I just knew that he had died. So I get off the airplane, and my cousin was sent to the airport to meet me there. And he and his fiance were really, what's the word? Consolating. And I wasn't really upset or sad or angry. So I was just kind of jovial and in a good mood because I knew. But beyond that. But it was really hard for him to tell me, because he asked me, I guess you don't know. So he had a really hard time telling me that my dad had died. So it was really strange. It really did change the family dynamic. We have a really strong family, and my mom was really shooken up, and my older sister, I come from a family of 4. My older sister was really shooken up, and then there's my brother and I, and then my younger sister. And 3 of the younger ones, we were pretty okay about it. We were kind of understood. My grandfather was really upset, his father. But like I said, I knew that he had died, and I knew he was going to die. I had several dreams in the previous months that someone in my family was dying, and I thought it was my grandfather. That's the, I just never thought my dad was too young to die. He died in his early 50s of a heart attack. And my grandfather's over 80, so I thought it was him, and I just knew, so it didn't upset me too much. And talking to my brother that week when we were all back at my mom's house, he had dreams, and he knew that someone was going to die also, but he thought it was my grandfather. So it's very interesting to see that happen. But I didn't know it was going to be my dad. I had a dream that I was back at my mom's house, and I went out surfing, and everybody was upset because I was out, and it was some big important event that I was kind of away when I should have been there, at the house or something. So it all kind of fell into place that morning when I got the phone call at 5 a.m. saying, that Dad had a heart attack, and it's pretty serious. So
I could lie and listen to the music while the wind is strumming a sagebrush guitar. I ain't over yonder hill, the moon is climbing. It always finds me wishing on a star. But you know, it's morning already. Days are dawning, so silvery pale. It's time to climb into my saddle. I ain't ride the Navajo Trail. Yes, it's time to climb into my saddle. I ain't ride the Navajo Trail.
I need to give them some carrots sometime tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. They're getting tamer.
Oh, yes, yeah. But you still can't pet them. They're wild, you know.
How long have they been here?
Well, this one, Hagen, has been here for about 10 years.
Really?
She came from a parking lot in Las Vegas.
Wow.
This one was brought here. She was used for roping. She was treated very badly. I don't know where, but she was destined to become a burrito.
Right. I really enjoy your show.
Oh, thank you.
That's quite amazing.
It has a message.
Yes. You do a new show every year, or?
No, not every year, every 4 or 5 years.
Uh-huh.
But we're alternating 2 different shows. Next week
see.
we give the Good Time Cabaret.
I see. You're quite agile. I guess you've been at it for long enough.
I still have to work out today.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do a lot of paperwork this morning, which took up my time. I don't like it, but it's necessary.
Right.
Didn't used to be necessary 100 years ago.
Right.
Talk about the paintings.
The background in there is just awesome, mind-boggling. The whole interior is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I like what you do with your yellows and browns to achieve those golds. Yeah. What you've done in there. I really like the screen also in the lobby.
Oh, yes, yes.
That's beautiful. Those cherubs.
Well, years ago, when I was unemployed for a long time and needed money, all I could afford were the earth colors and ochres.
Right.
So I called it my ochre period, and I did a lot of painting in those colors.
Uh-huh.
It works.
Yes.
Brown, burnt umbers, yellow ochres, raw umber. It's quite a variety in those shades, so it was not difficult, but I'm glad to be using colors now.
What media did you use on those walls? Oil
Casein.
or? Casein?
Casein,
Really?
yeah.
Wonderful.
Casein and then varnished with a polyurethane.
Right, okay. You must have been like Michelangelo, laying upside down on a scaffold in that scene.
No, I just stood up.
Stood up on a scaffold?
For 2.5 years, I did the nightclub circuit, ending up in a theater nightclub in Chicago for a whole summer. It was a rather exciting period of my life. But I had no personal life, which was all right because my dancing took everything I had. But after that, I became a corps de ballet dancer at Radio City Music Hall, and for the first time in my life had to adjust to chorus dancing, which wasn't easy. Well, there would be sometimes I'd dance at the stage door canteen and I'd meet a sailor or a soldier that wanted to take me out, and my mother told me that I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't go out. I must be home by 10 o'clock at night. She really squelched any relationships I might have with even other girls in the ballet because she wanted me to be home with her whenever I wasn't at the theater. Then when I was 20, I really felt, well, she went everywhere with me. If I was invited to a party or to a gathering, she always was there, and people stopped inviting me because they knew that my mother would always be there in the background. So I think my mother preferred that I would stay a little girl and turn into a sort of a child prodigy and support her for the rest of her life, rather than for me to have a life of my own without her. And of course, she continued to tell me that it would break her heart if I would ever leave her, such as my cousin Betty Ann left her mother. Her mother died of a broken heart. And then there was Maud. She stayed with her mother, but Elida left her mother, and it was a very heartbreaking thing for Elida's mother that she had done this. So my mother kept pummeling me with this attitude that if I were to leave her and have a life of my own, it would break her heart and she might die. So she was a wonderful mother up until the time I was about 14, and from then on she had a complete hold on me and everything I did, and I lived another 10 years with that domination that she inflicted on me, and it was difficult, and I used to cry at night with tears running down my cheeks, wondering how I was going to get out of this, how I was going to manage and get out of this. And well, one day I did meet a young man who was interested in my art and my talents, and he wanted to help me. He said I gave him a purpose in life, and this was my future husband. That did not turn out too well later on, but it was my chance to break away from Mother, although I did care for her and take care of her and support her after I left. Her domination still can make me feel a little guilty that she died in a nursing home alone. I could have been the good daughter, but I broke away from it, and now I'm free.
Listen, we've gone this far. All we got to do is go a little bit farther. We got him. We got a tip. We're set. We're going to find him. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. We're going to find him. Where are you going?
Just chill out, man.
You know, it's funny how sometimes you develop this, you know, sense of identity and responsibility and all that, and or sometimes a sense of unidentity or irresponsibility. And I felt for a long time that I was an irresponsible person, and I thought maybe a little bit too much about why that was. And I came back to it, and I kind of traced it back to this time when my family was doing that trek across North America that families used to do with the camper van and the station wagon. And about 5 days into it, you know, we hit the Rocky Mountains and we hit the passes and all that stuff. And I'm 7 years old, and I'm a bit of a serious child, and I want to be involved and be part of the family and all that stuff. And my brother was 11 years old and didn't particularly want me to be part of the family and all of that, so I had to kind of fight to be in on it. And I remember I finally begged the status of holding the light meter for the camera, because in those days we used to have light meters. And so we're standing on a mountain pass and overlooking one of these, you know, spectacular Rocky Mountain ice cold rivers, and getting some nice shots. And my family was a bit into photography, so we're doing that thing, and I'm standing there on the bridge holding the light meter. And then it's just one of those moments where you kind of step outside of yourself and you can look and you can just see what's going to happen before it happens, and you're totally powerless to stop it, really. And for some reason I lean forward, and the light meter falls out of my hand, and I can kind of see it spinning down towards the rocks and the water. And it's kind of got that, not really slow motion, but kind of that motion like when a bird falls out of the sky like it's dead, and it's moving a bit too slowly to be natural, but a bit too heavy to be alive. And I saw the light meter hit the rocks, and I was devastated. You know, I'm 7 years old, and that was my, you know, kind of shot at responsibility, and it was smashed on the rocks. And really, I was quite upset by it. Of course, my family, to be honest, didn't really notice that I dropped it, but I think from that moment on, I kind of had a thing that I was not the kind of person that should be held responsible for something. And it's a bit ridiculous, or it sounds a bit ridiculous whenever I say it out loud, so I don't say it out loud very often. But to think that you're responsible for something you did when you were 7 years old, I don't know.
Maybe this one will pan out.
You know what? Why don't you let me do the talking?
You got it.
Hello?
Hi, have you seen a guy about 57 years old named Jefe?
No, there's a lot of people that run by here. It's hard to know them all.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
All right, bye.
I don't think she's there.
Who is that, honey? Who is that? What's going on?
This is my guitar, and I am just getting used to it because I actually broke my old guitar. I was trying to make my own strap out of a couple belts, and it broke, and my guitar fell, and my guitar broke as well. So, but I am confident that I will be able to play this thing good enough to make it real big. which actually reminds me of the first time that I ever sang up on the stage. And we were at a nightclub over at Prim, Nevada, and we were listening to this group play. And my daddy, he went up on stage and he asked the guys if I could play for them. And they said yes, and before I knew it, I was put on the spot, and I rose to the challenge and I played. And I remember everybody clapping and clapping and standing up and clapping some more. And I went down and I returned to my table. And this guy with a white beard and kind of tall, and he came up and he handed me $5. And I'll never forget that day because it was my first paying gig, and it was one of the happiest moments of my life.
See those mountains, huh?
Yeah, nice view.
I used to lie in here and look at those mountains.
Have a seat.
Looks like home.
It'll do. All day I face the barren waste without the taste of water. Cool water. Old Dan and I, with throats burned dry and souls that cry for water. Cool, clear water. The nights is cool and I'm a fool. Each star is a pool of water. Cool water. But with the dawn, I wake and yawn and carry on to water. Cool, clear water. Keep him moving, Dad, don't you listen to him, Dad. He's a devil, not a man, and he spreads the burning sand with the water. Oh, Dan, can't you see that big green tree with the water's running free? It's waiting there for you and me. Water, cool, clear water. The shadows sway and seem to say, tonight we pray for water. Cool water. And way up there, I hope he hears our prayer and shows us where there's water. Cool, clear water. I like me, I guess he'd like to rest where there's no quest for water. cool, clear water. Cool, clear water. Right. Thank you.
Well, where did you go?
I was just messing around up with the radio antenna a little bit, seeing if I could find anyone to talk to out there. And then I ran into Jefe, so he played some songs for me. He's good. He's a good musician. I see you put him to work a little bit, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good worker.
Good worker? Yeah.
Did you talk to him?
A little. He's a good listener.
Talk to him a lot. Maybe he'll talk back.
I don't know if he'll talk back. Just nods.
You missed some fun.
Oh, yeah? What happened?
Well, one of the guys was interested in shooting the little burros, you know, the real direct reduction thing, like all the other things that are changing. He came by and I told him he wasn't indigenous to the area, so how about if I meet him over at the border and shoot him? I would give him more of a chance to run than the little burros get, and they don't get warning. So, I don't know, I think sometimes too many changes here. Policies are changing. Government units are changing. You know, wish we had the old monument system back. It's heck when they go kill things over a few little plants, you know. You can always grow more plants, but it's pretty hard to grow a living animal. So the non-indigenous humans ought to leave and just let it go back to nature. Well, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah. I think now I'm tired. It was a long day. So I think I'm going to go to bed.
Okay.
Okay. Good night, Mom.
Okay. Good night, hon. Sleep good.
You too.
Go for it. Come on. Where is this guy, man?
There's something not right here.
There's nothing right here. All right, we got pipes.
He hasn't been here for years.
We got pipes.
These pipes aren't here.
I don't see shit. I don't see how a guy can live like this. Guy doesn't have sheets on his bed. Looks like a friggin' horse has been sleeping here. Come on. There's nothing here.
Oh, shit. Dead bird.
What are you looking at?
What are you shaking your head about?
You guys made a big mistake.
What are you talking about?
BountyHunter.com.
Yeah, BountyHunter.com, that's us.
No, it's a fan site.
What do you mean it's a fan site? BountyHunter.com.
It's a fan site.
That is not us.
You guys running a fan site?
What is this he's talking about? That's not us. That is not us. That is not us. I thought we were BountyHunter.com. We are not BountyHunter.com.
Look, I messed up.
What do you mean you messed up?
I thought I had the site name down. I thought I did.
Didn't you send in the check?
We didn't have the money when I got the name, okay? I thought we could get it. I sent the check in, but by the time the check got there, the money was gone. All right. The name was gone.
What are you talking about?
I
thought we were BountyHunter.com.
So did I. Listen, it's okay. Listen, I've known about this for a couple months now, okay? I've been thinking about this. All it takes is just one name. I've been thinking about this for months.
But we don't have the name.
Listen, any day now, I'm going to come up with a new name. We're going to get it done.
The name was BountyHunter.com, and we don't have it.
We can get
That's
something
it.
that's just
That's
as good.
it. I'm out of here. No
it's
way.
not a
No.
big deal.
No.
Where are you going?
I'm gone.
Come on. I don't need you.
I have something you want.
What do you got?
MyBountyHunter.com. Right here. I just bought it. It's mine. And I'll share it with you.
What do you want?
One condition.
What's your condition?
We leave right now. Right now.
Share it 50-50?
50-50.
All right, let's go. We're not going to find this Hefe guy here. I don't think he's here. MyBountyHunter.com. It's going to work. I'm telling you, it's going to work.
I need a break from this town.
Let's go.
Go. I'll be back when I'm a real man.
Morning, Lori.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.